again, I'm going to hit F function key, left arrow, and now I'm in my insert pivot mode. And again, I can move it anywhere I want, and I can move it around. But what's different now is that I can actually hold down different modifiers, and I can position it anywhere I want. So if I click here in the center, then I can actually snap it to whatever I'd like. Okay, so that's position, and I'm holding down the Shift key, and I'm snapping to things. So I can snap to, say, a line or a face, but then I can hold down Shift and Control, and then it will aim it. So I can move it to where I'd want. So I'll hold down Shift, move it to that point, but then I can hold down Shift and Control, and then click on anything I'd want, so I can aim it in the proper direction that I want to aim it. Okay, I can also let's see here. I can also I'll move it back here, and I can reset it, which is essentially like a center pivot. And I can, let's see here. I can hold down like a certain axis, and then I can just aim it over that axis. So this is a really a great way to modify your pivot. Let's see here. Let's see. You can also click on a face, so it's going to orient to the face. So really, really great way to move your pivot around. And then what will happen invariably is, let's go to like, if I go to, let's see here. If I select some faces here, let's go over to this mode here. Okay, so it's just, now I'm in default texture here. I'm going to hit my Command 1 again, which is great. So now I've isolated this stuff. And I'm still in my edit pivot mode. Great. And I can orient it to, like I showed you, like I was mentioning before, and orient it to any of these faces or an edge. It's really handy and really useful. And so then when I get out of this mode, then the whole object is ready to go. But I can also go in and select just, let's reset that for the whole object. But I can right-click and say just faces, for instance. And so I'm going to, let's see here, holding down, let's see, I want to get out of symmetry mode, so I'm just going to turn this off. And I'm just going to select some faces here. And you'll notice that I might want to move these in, say, a normals. So I'll go to my edit pivot, and then all I have to do is get in here and just click on that CV, and it gets the normals for all of those faces. So if I had, say, a bunch of, let's just say, so let's put it back the way it was. But I can move it, so I can position it there, or I can position it anywhere I want, and I can then hold down Shift and Control and aim it at whatever I want, and then I can orient it as well, to just holding down Control, orient it. So very, very useful. And now what's going to happen is that I'm happy with the way this is, and so I will get out of component mode, and then I can move, and that's great. But then what will happen is that I might want to grow my selection. So I grow it, all right, Shift plus, let's see, period. And so I've grown it, and now my my arrow is not going in the right direction anymore. And that's a bummer. So what I want to do is I just went undo, and what happened is I went back to this pivot going in the right direction. Now I'm just going to edit it again and put it right back here. And so if what I can do is I can just say, listen, I'd like to just lock this even if I am selecting more objects. And that's where I just hit the pin component pivot here. And by doing that, then if I grow my selection, for instance, I can still move it in the right direction. So what I'll do is let's see here. So now I'll get out of edit mode, but see how everything is moving, and even if I shrink my selection, it's still moving in the same, and that's due to the whole pin. So even if I select other parts of this, they're all going in that same because it's pinned. And only when I unpin it is when it will stop going in that other direction. So the pin component pivot is going to be very helpful for your modeling tasks. All right. All right. Now, the B key still turns on and off. Soft select, holding down Shift. Let's see here. Now, I'm going to turn back on the UVs so that we can see that what we have here is we've got a really great tool here in the modeling toolkit. Notice how there is no power button for the modeling toolkit. So it's not like I'm turning it on. It's just that I'm clicking on the modeling toolkit so I have access to some of these tools and whatnot, so I don't have to have all the quick keys memorized just yet. So I'm just going to go into Edge mode here, and I'm going to show you that if I double-click here, sorry about that, but if I double-click on this edge loop here, you'll see that right now, if I go to move this up and down, and I'm just holding down my Shift and middle mouse button clicking up and down, you'll see that the textures are moving, okay? And the shape of the object is changing, okay? But there's a really great new tool called Transform Constraint. And let's turn that on and leave it, turn it to Surface Slide, okay? So now, with that on, if I go up and down, what's going to happen is you're seeing that it's no longer just going wherever it wants. It's actually following, as best as it can, the surface of the object. Even though I'm moving just straight up and down, you'll see that it's trying to follow the surface of the object. So let's turn this off and show you how that works. So I turned it off, and now when I go up and down, you can see that it's reacting the same way you'd expect. If I hit the R key and I go in here and I want to scale this, it's going to actually change the object. But if I turn on the surface slide and I hit scale, you'll see that it's actually fighting to stay. And so if I go back to the move, you'll see that it's fighting to keep the shape of the object. Now you're looking at it and saying, well, that's cool, but if you really are going to do a little bit of changes here and there after the fact, I can see that all of your textures are stretching, okay? And that's no good. So what we can also do is turn on, let's see here, what's it called? It's called Preserve UVs. So right now what I'm doing is I'm holding down Shift and Command, and I'm right-clicking, and I can turn on Shift UVs, or Preserve UVs. So now I'm just showing you that it's checked on already. So now check this out. I'm going to hold down Shift and middle mouse click drag up and down so that you can see that it is trying its best to slide the edges but leave the texture in the same place. Okay? So really, really great tool for making tweaks and whatnot after the fact. If I turn on one, you see it's a little, well, it's about the same. But you can see how it's doing its best not to stretch out the textures, which is great.